Welcome back to AFTV. Poor Robbie gets up every morning to do Transfer Daily, only for two new rumours to come out at 11 o'clock midday or whatever it was?
Yep.
Two big ones as well. They're ruining your day. Sorry, Robbie.
Well, the Lavia one,
yes,
I have been speaking about.
Yes.
Did talk about him on yesterday's show, but yeah, just interesting the updates that we're getting on the Lavia one. So
yeah, it's all. I think Arsenal are clearly trying to get their business done super quick. We know that they begin their first pre-season game, that Nuremberg game we saw yesterday, is around the 12th, 13th of August, July. And that doesn't leave them that's less than a month now. And we know that these transfers, they can take 3-4 weeks to complete. That's once the interest is kind of even in the public. I mean, we knew that we were negotiating the Jesus deal for 3 weeks really before we saw him holding a shirt, which is why I think so much stuff is coming out now. And it's been relentless. Let's go through everything so everyone is fully updated on the news. Firstly, Romeo Lavia, very, very interesting. This comes from Miguel Delaney. He says that Arsenal want to sign Romeo Lavia and Declan Rice, crucial, and Arsenal are not that advanced with Lavia, but are seen as his most likely next club. We touched on Lavia in Talking Transfers. Go check out that. That's on the channel. Reason being was because on the day of recording that, rumours had emerged that Arsenal were interested in signing him as well from another source. So it's picking up a little bit of pace, the Lavia stuff. We'll also throw into the mix that L'Équipe have said that Arsenal are in pole position to sign Moussa Diaby ahead of Newcastle. Apparently they tried to sign him last summer, but are now in pole position. I mean, this is two sources saying we think Diaby and Lavia are going to end up at Arsenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Lavia one, I feel there's more in that than the Moussa Diaby one, probably. Although both would be brilliant signings. I mean, we were interested in Moussa Diaby in the last transfer window. I'm sorry, not January, but in the last summer transfer window. At that time, Bayer Leverkusen, demanding a very high fee for him. Yeah. He'd just come off the back of an excellent season, scored a lot of goals, and really they didn't want to sell him, so they just slapped an enormous transfer fee on him. And at that time, Newcastle were interested in him as well, and in the end, nobody ended up going for him. This year now, I'm not sure how Newcastle have got an interest, but it doesn't seem to be as aggressive and as vociferous as it was last season. And Arsenal, I've not really heard any mention of Moussa Diaby until I've seen this story in L'Équipe. Sure. L'Équipe, not always the most reliable of sources. They tend to, a lot of times, just they'll come out with something, but it doesn't always come to fruition. So I'm not sure how to take this one. It would be a great signing. I do feel, and I do feel we need a backup for Saka, right? And Moussa Diaby wouldn't just be a backup; he'd be serious competition for Saka because he's a seriously good player. But it would be a lot of money. Still, would be a lot of money. And if we're looking like we're going to get Havertz, I mean, that's a big amount of the budget spent to then go and get Moussa Diaby. And then also, where does Moussa Diaby play if you bring in Havertz? I mean, to me, actually, when I think about it, it's almost like Moussa Diaby makes more sense than Havertz, because we all keep just saying to ourselves, well, where would Havertz play? Could he play where or there? Where? We know that Moussa Diaby would play on that right-hand side. We know that he'd
defined position, doesn't he?
Yeah, and we know he'd had excellent cover and competition for Saka. So would be a fantastic signing, but I see it just personally as unlikely.
I'm with you. I want to pour a bit more cold water on this Diaby stuff. I think it's one of those where, it kind of makes sense as a link, doesn't it? Arsenal need depth for Saka. He could play right and left. But then I'm so with you. So Arteta's going to add, in the space of 7 months, Trossard, Havertz, Diaby, and sign Nelson to a new deal, and say that Smith Rowe is definitely going to stay. That's 5 forwards before we've mentioned Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, and Nketiah. There's the potential. That's 9 potential.
Although if Moussa Diaby did come in, it would be then so obvious that some of them would be going.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, I think that probably would be the end of an Eddie if a Moussa Diaby came in.
I think Havertz arriving is already telling me that there's a shake-up. The fact that Nelson's penned a new deal, and the fact that Havertz is arriving, that tells me. And remember, Nelson, yes, impressed us, but he didn't play that much last year at all.
Yeah, and I personally think that Mikel Arteta views Reece Nelson, especially at the moment, as an impact player. He doesn't view him as a player that's going to start 20, 30 games for the season. I think he views him as a player that can come off the bench and really create an impact. So I mean, if Moussa Diaby comes in, like you said, Reece Nelson just signed a new deal. I know that doesn't cost anything, but that's wages that has to be spent. I mean, and I always say to people and remind people of this: when you're looking at deals, when you're looking at transfers that take place at a football club, it's not just the transfer fee. That sometimes can be the smallest part of it. The wages. Yeah. You know what I mean? The wage bill. So I'm not too sure about the Diaby one. The Lavia one, though, that makes more sense to me. And me and you have both been big fans of Lavia. We all saw what he did when he really impressed when he came for Southampton. He controlled the midfield. Yeah. He didn't look like a 19-year-old. He looked so beyond his years. Yeah. He's great on the ball. He's aggressive. He's just got all-round excellent game. And obviously his ceiling's going to be way higher. Arteta might have known him from his time when he was at City because he was originally a Man City player. And he's a player that you can mould to become even better.
Wait, did you say former City?
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's coming then. If he's former City and former Chelsea, they're ending up at Arsenal at some point. There we go.
So I just think like Lavia, I've said before, I go Rice and Lavia. I'd be more than, I know we all wanted Rice and Caicedo. Maybe we've all been very unrealistic with that because, look at the fees now that we've been told about for a Caicedo. But Lavia, you probably get him for like a 25 million or less, or even less.
I would think more. I think Southampton would stick to their guns just because he's such a. Apparently, Man City have a buyback for 45 million, so I think they would demand in and around that fee. But I sort of know because they're relegated.
They're not going to get 45 million for Lavia.
Maybe not.
I don't think they'll get.
Caicedo's more than double that.
Yeah, but Caicedo has already sort of done it in the Premier League over a period of time. He's an international. Sure. I don't know. I don't think Lavia's still viewed as a prospect. They're not going to get 45 million for Lavia. No chance. The Lavia thing for me will be in the 20s.
Really?
That's what I feel. I'll be 20s, 30 max.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know.
And Southampton have to sell, and the player will want to go.
Did you see Tottenham's £50 million bid for Maddison and Barnes?
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Funny enough, I was just for anybody who watched DR Sports and watched The Best of Enemies, I put that to expressions. I go, that's the most ridiculous deal I've ever seen.
But the media had the cheek to report that Arsenal's offer was seen as derisory and insulting for Declan Rice of 80 plus 10 million. It's like, hold on. It's still an £80 million offer. Okay, the add-ons might be a little unrealistic and all that. But 50 million for Maddison and Barnes is like, I would have thought 50 million for Maddison alone, even though they have been relegated. But anyway, not talking Tottenham. The Lavia one's fascinating because let's just give you some updates on all this, everyone. So, we know we pulled out the Caicedo deal yesterday. That was discussed. We did a live show talking about it. Andy Naylor for The Athletic. And we know that Arsenal fans and Andy Naylor had their real back and forth on Twitter during all the sort of stuff in January. Andy Naylor was sort of proved right. Anyway, he's come out. He's now the Chelsea fans' enemy on Twitter because he's come out and said Chelsea have registered their interest with Brighton signing Caicedo, but they'll have to pay at least 100 million. I mean, you come into the Premier League, you play really well for 15 months, you're a £100 million player. Now, he did play really well, and I know his potential is enormous, but 100 million.
I did an interview last night on Talk Sport, and they, the guys were asking me about it on that, and I said that to me, he's a great player. He's not worth 100 million. Tony Bloom, the owner of Brighton's, saying that he feels he's worth 120 million. Now, obviously, I get where they're coming from. They're basing it off of the whole Declan Rice thing, right? It's a lot of money. I mean, some of the money being paid for players right now is ridiculous. Declan Rice is overpriced.
Declan Rice is overpriced.
Caicedo's, but I think with Declan Rice, you can understand 100 million. There is the English tax in there, as we know. He is the captain right? He's the captain of West Ham and has been their captain for the past few years. Even that he's 24, he's got a lot of experience. He's an experienced international footballer who played for England in the World Cup. They got to the semi-finals, played for them in the Euros. They got to the finals, and he was instrumental in that. Yeah. He's absolutely one of the first players on the team sheet for England. So he's going to be a very expensive player. He's still only 24 as well.
Can I add to that, Robbie? Because you made some great points on Rice and why he's worth 100 million. Everything, the experience, captain. He's been at West Ham a long time. He's 24. He's got this contract you're going to give him is going to cover his best years, which is 24 to 28, 29. But the other thing is, Man City, Man United, Chelsea, they've all been looking at him.
Yeah.
They've all been looking at him. Caicedo, Arsenal and Chelsea have been the most in terms of pushing it. That's about it. For 15 months' work.
And I just think that you're getting players now that have been so overpriced, right? You see, with Chelsea have got one right now, Enzo Fernandez.
I blame Chelsea. Chelsea made this happen.
Yeah, good player, but
at least he was a World Cup winner.
He's a World Cup winner, but when you watch him play, come on, he's not worth nowhere near. Was it 120 million for him?
Something like that.
So again, you can see why Tony Bloom of Brighton is saying, well, I think he's worth that, because he's probably thinking he's better than Enzo Fernandez. So everything's just getting priced. I mean, the Mudryk one, 88 million.
Yeah.
I just urge everybody at the moment, right? Because I saw a few people yesterday as well, and they were like, "Yeah, Robbie, this Arsenal, same typical. We should be getting both. Now they're not getting." First of all, Arsenal never put it out there that they're getting both Rice and Caicedo. It's the fans, us fans, and I'm guilty of it as well, who say we love to see it, and it happening. It's two different things. Let's be realistic right now. It's got to be one or the other. If you try and get both, I mean, for starters, the wages, right? You're going to have to pay Declan Rice at least 200. He turned down 200 for the last 2 seasons at West Ham so he could run his contract down, right? So he's going to be demanding about 200. And Caicedo's going to be demanding towards 200 as well. You've got to, FFP and those things, you've got to balance your wages and all stuff like that. So I think we've got to get a bit more realistic with what we're expecting out of some of the transfers. If we get Declan Rice and if we was to get Lavia as well, I think that would be outstanding.
Yeah.
Because that's 2 outstanding midfielders. One who's really, really young, and the other one who's still young and got great experience, and I think would just easily fit in to the Arsenal team.
I agree. We've got a comment here from Richard Mark saying, it's not your money. Richard, I know. But in what world do we live in where we think Arsenal can get £60 million Havertz, £120 million Caicedo, £100 million plus Rice, and then everything else we need to address? Because we know we need a number 8. There's no number 8 in there. Rice could play 8. Havertz could drop back and play 8, but we know that Arsenal want to target a proper number 8. Apparently they want a right back and a centre back as well, or maybe one or the other, and then White's position shift. There's still a lot of work to do, and you've got to, in some way, just acknowledge that they can't do all of it. We have spent a lot of money without the Champions League. I bet FFP are keeping a little look on us as well.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it's not just a matter of the it's not your money thing doesn't really apply completely with these things, right? Because they do have to balance FFP. So, yeah, you're right in a way. I want them to spend as much money as they possibly can.
Million, I won't care.
Yeah, I want them to spend it, but they do have to stay within the rules of what Man City used to do back in the day, right? We can't do now. It's been scrutinised hard. You're watching Newcastle. If Newcastle really wanted to, if it didn't matter, they could go and get whoever they want right now. They could go and put an offer to Mbappe that would match anything that you're seeing going on in Saudi Arabia at the moment, because they are Saudi Arabia, right? But they can't because of the rules, the FFP rules. They've got to be careful on their spending as well.
I also just want to say something about, take Man City, okay? This is the club who won the treble, and look at the success they've had, and everyone says we want to be like Man City, okay? Grealish is their only £100 million transfer. Otherwise, I think 60 for Mahrez is the nearest to that. Everything else, and the reason, and I know 60 million when they signed Mahrez is probably more like what 80 million is today. But the point I'm trying to make is, City got to where they got because they were able to say no. We wanted 70 million for Alexis Sanchez. It didn't happen. They wanted Harry Maguire. They wanted about 80 million Leicester. They said no. They wanted Fred. They were talking about 50, 55 million. United paid it. City said no. Knowing when to say no is also a trait of a big club. Because when it comes to doing the business you want to do, you've set a precedent now. You've set to whoever you're negotiating with, hold on, don't come with anything stupid. We've shown you for the last 3-4 years we're not going to do it. So Harry Kane. They were willing to go to about 100 million. Tottenham wanted 120. Can you imagine Harry Kane in that Tottenham team? They said no, walk away. Next year they picked up Haaland for 50.
In the City team.
Being able to say no is also a part of functioning really, really well in the transfer market and being ready for future deals and still being competitive. So don't think that just because Arsenal are going, we're not going to spend 120 million for Caicedo when we're also getting Rice, that's something we're not acting like a big club or we're not ambitious. You can be smart with it, but it's about the alternatives they pick up and what their next plan is.
Plan Bs. It's about the Plan Bs. I spoke about it on my Transfer Daily this morning. If you haven't watched that already, make sure you check it out. What if we don't get Rice? Right, because you can never say never. If we don't get Rice, could they turn to maybe a Zubamendi? I've reassociated that. So you've always got to have options.
Yeah,
you've always got to have options. So and also actually over the past, a few windows have done very well in bringing in options. Zinchenko came in instead of Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah,
Trossard came in instead of Mudryk. Jorginho came in instead of Caicedo. So,
but they do need to land some of these.
But
big
I think,
targets.
that is the thing, and that is where I understand where a lot of fans are coming from. They're like, when are we gonna go out there and get who we targeted? That big guy, because it was Vlahovic as well before that as well. So I understand. I understand the anxiety.
Yeah, I completely agree. On the Lavia thing, just a little bit more, and then we'll go through some other news. He's about 19 years old. Yeah, 18, 19. I think he arrived at 18. He's 19 now. He's 19 now.
Yeah, 19.
So I do think the Lavia one is maybe more stomachable in that, listen, he's had a fantastic first year in the Premier. He had some injury problems, but whenever I watched him, I thought he looked Rolls Royce, just really, that player that cruises through games, really elegant. I thought he looked great. 19 years old. So I don't think there'll be that expectation that he's like the answer or that he's the, needing to play every game, whilst also having a really exciting prospect that you can bring in and rotate every now and again. And that probably complements, and I know Caicedo's 21 as well, so don't get me wrong, Caicedo, it's similar. But if you're spending 120 million on Caicedo, there's probably a little bit more pressure for him to have regular involvement. With Lavia, I think there's that nice complement with Partey's around 30, Rice, who's coming around 24, who can play as a 6, if obviously we get Rice over the line. Jorginho's still there. So there's something moldable about Lavia that I quite like as well. Definitely, and like you said, you all these things you have to think about when you're juggling and constructing a squad, and somebody like Lavia, he's 19, like you said, so he's not gonna be kicking the manager's door down and saying, why am I not playing? And he will still get a lot of games as well. So I think that would be, if that one came true, that I think that Declan Rice and Lavia for me would represent unbelievable business. I do think Lavia is going to be a player that we're going to look at in a couple of years' time and say, wow. And so, this the other thing in the transfer window. Them sort of players that sometimes now you're looking and just thinking, go and get Caicedo. But then you can see a Lavia sort of move ahead of a player like that in a couple of years' time, and everyone's like, why didn't we go and get it? How comes Brighton? Have chosen it. So it's true. No, it's true that it's so funny because me and you were on a live show a year ago, and the fans were losing their heads over Basuma. There's not one person in the comments, and all the lives I've done have said, go pick up Basuma from Tottenham. No, why? Because
I was one of them people losing it, saying, why have Arsenal not gone and signed Basuma?
Things can change so
I was
quickly.
one of them, and look at...
Things changed so quickly.
And he came from Brighton.
Houssam Aouar, do you remember all that when we didn't get him?
Houssam
Aouar.
I saw, where's he going to now? He's going on a free.
Yeah, after all that.
He's going on a free. Literally, nobody's wanted him for the past couple of years. And then I can't remember where I saw it, but he's going on a free somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
It's
crazy how things change. Well, we're going to go through, we've got some comments as well. We've got some super chats. We'll go through them all. Let's just remind you that it was coming from Miguel Delaney, that Romeo Lavia and, not all, and Declan Rice. That's very crucial. The report doesn't say Arsenal want Lavia if things fall through with Rice. Now City are in the race. This is a separate thing, and it came through a few days ago separately as well. Go check out Talking Transfers, where I mention it as well. Lavia it's been mentioned a few times. He's a target. Let's see what happens. I imagine there's not as much pressure to get that one done as there is with Rice, so we'll see what happens there.
Rice is the priority.
Yeah, Rice is the priority. And we mentioned Moussa Diaby, according to L'Equipe. We have our doubts about that, but it has been said that we are in pole position ahead of Newcastle. Now, other bits of news that have come through. Inter Milan, according to Dharma Sheth at Sky Sports, Inter Milan are interested in signing Balogun, and they're going to make a formal approach. Let's see. He's got 2 years left on his contract, and he said that he wants first-team football. So look, he's going. He's going. The only thing that leaves me disappointed about this transfer is if we don't get a good fee, because if we're talking about one good season, you're worth 100 million. Okay, he hasn't done it in the Premier League, but in French football, he's been up there with all the top goal scorers all year.
I mean,
command a big fee.
To me, it's got to be 40 to 50 million at least. That is it Højlund, the one who's being linked with Manchester United. He's 20. He scored less goals than Balogun, right? And they want
Italy
50
as well, right?
in Italy. I think he's at Atalanta, isn't he? Right? They want 50 million for him. You know, I think Balogun's been outstanding. Yeah, he started yesterday for the USA. 45, 50 million is what Arsenal should be demanding at the very least,
with a first option or buyback clause or something like that. Other bit, this is great news. We knew that Saliba was signing on, but Romano's just said that the documents are approved with the fixed details all fixed. He'll sign a long-term deal to June 2027 with an option to 2028. That gives us 3 years, really.
That is actually some of the best news for this transfer window. You know what I mean? The fact
so early as well.
Yeah, the fact that Saliba is a top player. He really is, and that's great news. That's great news.
Now, big thank you to everyone who's been sending in comments. We see them. Some people saying James Ward-Prowse. Some people are asking, what about Lokonga? All sorts of questions. James Maz, I've got to say,
the Lokonga one. Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
The Lokonga's interesting because, you know, you think about Lavia. He's Belgium as well. He's from Belgium as well. Lokonga, what are we going to do with him? I suspect Arsenal will be looking to sell him, but I don't think they'll currently get the fee that they want for him. I can see him going out on another loan.
I have a theory. I think Arteta's going to give Lokonga pre-season and maybe 4 or 5 more months. Now I know I'm in the minority here. A lot of people are like, just move on. He's not good enough. A lot of people. I'm not even talking like haters or anything. A lot of Arsenal fans across the board like this. It's not worked. When he first came into the Arsenal team, I really did think I saw a player in him. I saw things that I thought, God, he looks smooth. He looks elegant. He's got a pass on him and all that. I thought in those first 3 games of the season where we lost them all, he actually looked good against Chelsea and against Brentford, one of the few who did. And then when he had a run when Xhaka was injured, I thought next to Partey he looked okay. I'll be honest, I've been so unimpressed with him since. But I think there's a chance that Arteta just goes, let's give you a pre-season. Now the team is really settled in its shape and what it wants to do, and we're bringing in better players. Let's just see if that loan at Palace would have taught him a lot. I actually thought in the Liverpool game he played quite well in that game. I just wonder.
But then remember, towards the end of the season, now he didn't figure once Roy Hodgson came in.
I know, and that's
right. You know, what I mean, they put Eze into that midfield. I think he'll go another. If they don't sell him, I think it'll be another loan. I think he'll be loaned out. The thing is about Lokonga, I don't know how to judge him.
For Lavia, says Sakul.
Well, that would be the simple solution, but the player's going to want to have to go, and is he going to want to go to a relegated team? No. But the thing is about Lokonga, he's so hard to judge because every time I saw him playing for Arsenal, he looked so nervous, right? You know, I don't know what he's really like. So I think, you know, a loan where he goes out there and he gets to under the less pressure,
Burnley
gets to go out there and do his thing. Well, Burnley's been suggested. I've seen that.
Company,
obviously, he was with Company at Anderlecht. That might be perfect for him. But it was Vincent Company was talking him up so much and saying how he's the next Yaya Toure and stuff like that. We haven't seen that at all.
No.
So yeah, I mean, a loan at Burnley, maybe go and play for a season. Show us what you're worth, and then, you know, come back.
Yeah, Akmal says Lokonga has got a pass on him, but he's very clueless in positioning. I think that might be quite fair, Akmal. I think on the ball, I see kind of enough. I think he looks classy enough, but just
looks classy.
When he's in midfield, it just feels like they run through.
Not aggressive enough.
Yeah.
Awareness is not great, and just looks nervous every time I saw him play for Arsenal. Like scared to make an error.
Right, let's see. It's Denzel D says, what you know about them Jamaican tops, leave that and the yellow one to me, G.
Say that again? What do you want?
It's Denzel. What you know about them Jamaican tops, leave that and the yellow one.
I'm wearing a Jamaican. You know, I didn't even, when I came onto the stream, I didn't even realise I was wearing it because I was just doing another stream on DR and I was wearing this, right? And so I like it.
It's really nice. It's
really
the first
nice.
time with Adidas, isn't it? Or they've just I love
Adidas.
them. Italy as well have joined Adidas.
Yeah.
They're doing some class stuff. Dave Jordan with my favourite super chat in a while.
Big up Dave Jordan.
4 years into the process, I want 6 wins from the first 5 games.
Well,
you're right to demand the best.
We have an opportunity to do that. We definitely have an opportunity to do that.
Riff with his first super chat was letting us know that Fabrizio's given us the here we go on Saliba. So great spot there. Sam Tressida says we need FFP to get control of this. These prices are getting out of control. Sam, I don't know what the answer is, but I do think, I know City fans are going to call me salty, and I know that Chelsea have spent more money, and I know Man United have spent as much, and I know. But something doesn't feel right, and I don't know what it is about City buying Grealish for 100 million one summer, then buying the world's most wanted, prolific, exciting striker the season after, and then being able to sign Rice as the treble winners for 100 million the year after. It just feels like, we don't have a chance. And I know that, listen, they're not doing anything wrong, and good on City. You want to keep winning and winning and winning. I just think, oh my word, it just feels impossible.
You know what? The thing is, at the moment, right, they're in such a good way financially as well, obviously.
Exactly, because they've sold so well.
Right, they sold so well. Money's rolling in from all the things that they've won.
And Gvardiol.
They were in every... Gvardiol they want as well. But they're in a great position financially. A lot of people still, though, will be looking at that and saying, well, you set up that great position by what you did for like the first 8 years.
Exactly.
And that's the uncomfortable situation where a lot of people look at it and say, the asterisk is still hovering around Man City, as great as what they've done. I really do think, with Man City, they need the court case thing done and dusted. And then after that, they can get their proper respect if that's what's due. Or whilst that court case thing looms around, there's still the doubt. There's still people who are saying, but... but certainly at the moment, there's no court case at the moment. That could take a couple of years, and at the moment they are so far ahead of every team, not just on the pitch but off it as well.
No, the way they operate, Laporte out, Gvardiol in. Are you kidding me? That's unbelievable. Gundogan. I mean, either he stays and they bring in Kovacic for 34. They want Rice.
But let's big them up and let's hand it to them. The way in which they conduct their transfer business, the way in which they spend. You never see Man City scrambling around at the end of a transfer window for a player.
This is what
you never see that.
This is what I was giving credit for earlier, saying don't belittle Arsenal for not wanting to get to 100 million for Caicedo, because look, when do Man City get dragged into that? When do you hear Man City looking for a player and then suddenly it's, we're going to slap 50 million on more than they're really worth, and the City going, do we, don't we? They go, we're not interested.
They never overspend.
Never.
They never, and they don't like getting dragged into bidding wars, right? And they're not scared to turn players down. They turned down Harry Kane. They said, all right, you know what, we're not going to buy Harry Kane, and we'll just go with our false number 9 for another season. Exactly. So you got to admire how they do business. So I think Arteta actually is bringing a lot of that to Arsenal, where and then sometimes a bit like what we've seen Pep do, they'll buy a player that everybody's thinking, really. For that amount?
Remember when they bought Grealish? I mean, very good player.
Do you remember the classic for that is when they bought Kyle Walker? And there was a lot of people saying, what, for Kyle Walker, for that amount of money?
Fullback,
That's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? But they knew, Pep Guardiola knew exactly what he wanted, right? Was you needed a right back who's pacey, who's aggressive, and that's why he went for Kyle Walker. And look, so...
Agreed.
I think we just copy everything they do.
Yeah.
You know?
For players leaving, we'll have them. Teamer92 says, Rice been talked about for years, Caicedo a year. Yep, very true. That was on the point we were making earlier. Ice G says, who remembers... I don't know if I want to read this. Who remembers the bet between James and Robbie on where Zinchenko would play most games last season? Robbie said left back, James said midfield, James pay up. Thank you for your super chat. I've got to read the super chats, Robbie. There's more super chats. I need to just read these quickly. Also, where's Sharoy? I need my lawyer because he basically played midfield all year, man.
He didn't play midfield. He plays a left back. He dropped into midfield, inverted into midfield.
I've tried it. I'm sorry. Tommy says, big up, guys. And payday, I'll send that over. Tommy says, big up, guys. Hope to see you in the US, especially Cecil. Why aren't we talking about outgoing players? Because with outgoing, it will be hard to have expensive incomings.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot happening on the outgoing front.
Well, Ainsley's left today, hasn't he? Ainsley, I mean, his contract run out, and I was reading some of his comments. These are what he said on leaving. He said, words can't describe how I'm feeling, to be honest. It's been a very emotional journey. However, I supported the club growing up and coming through the ranks. I can only be happy with what I've achieved since I've been here. I've seen a lot of players come and go and played with a lot of fantastic players throughout my time here. Unfortunately, it's come to an end, but I've been very happy every single moment I've been here to play and work for this club. The trophy wins would probably be the best moments for me. Obviously, some of the domestic seasons weren't so great, but at least I got to win some trophies with the club that I love. The FA Cup final was a fantastic day that will always stick in my mind, and I was happy to be part of the team that won it. Good luck to Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Listen, he's like you said, you always got to applaud a player that's come through the ranks of your club, right? It's a very, very difficult thing to do at a big club like Arsenal, to come through the academy and make it into the first team. He did that. He played a lot for Arsenal.
He played in an FA Cup final.
Yeah, and he won an FA Cup final, and he's still a very young guy, and he's still got a great career ahead of him. So, well done to him. He played for England, didn't he? He got an England cap. So, it's just a new chapter for him. It's not at Arsenal, but you're a professional footballer. He'll know that, and as a professional, your journey continues. So good luck to him.
Harshar says, if Arsenal sign Diaby and Havertz, then we should use Eddie as a make-weight in the Rice deal. Nelson should be sent on loan to increase his value. Nelson's just signed a new deal because he wants to play. He's not going anywhere. But I hear you. Shirtsy with his first ever super chat. Thank you very much. There's nothing in it, but thank you very much. Carl says, conspiracy. Our top targets are decoys. We drive up price, then we swoop in for our real, less-known targets with little competition. What do you think? The Havertz one has got me sweating. I'm not sure that's a full decoy, but maybe with some of the others like Caicedo. Maybe with Caicedo there is something in let's pretend we're in for him. We know Chelsea want him. Let's get them sweating a bit. We know if we drop the money we'll have him, and then go, all right, we have him. Give us Havertz or something like that. I don't know.
I still can't get my head around the Havertz one completely, but
I had a theory.
I'll go with it.
I had a theory he was going to play right wing for us until the Diaby links that lasted about 18 hours. Go check out In Focus on Havertz. Now, Miles says Lavia is not top 4 level yet. To be better than City next season, we need players who can come in and challenge the first team players. I slightly disagree. I think Lavia
would challenge first team players.
I don't think we'd end the season with him as like our starting 6 week in, week out. But I think he can push with a few good performances. He gets some
I think he would challenge. He would challenge. He wouldn't start, but he'd challenge in those positions.
I agree. Kobe, the super chat, thank you very much. He says, could we not go in for Kefren Turam? Kefren is the midfielder. It's a
midfielder, right? Yeah. I think he's heavily linked with a move to. It looks more like he's going to Liverpool.
Yeah, I think so. Jihad says, Arteta's proven his judgment in the transfer market in the past few windows. Whoever he brings in will be exactly what the team needs. And Baked Potato, good name, says thoughts on the links between City and Rice. Does it worry for you guys at all, or just West Ham agent tactics to get Arsenal to pay up? No, I had a theory a month ago that if that City would come in for Rice, especially with all the doubt around Gundogan, it's not quite happened for Calvin Phillips, although he's had injuries. I hope Arsenal have done a little too much work on the Rice front.
I still think with it as well that City, if he goes to City, you're not guaranteed to start.
No, you're not.
He would have looked. Listen, him and Calvin Phillips, they had a great partnership for England. They're obviously good friends. They say they get on well. And he would have looked what's happened to Calvin Phillips, where he spent literally a season not playing. Declan Rice at West Ham basically plays every minute of every game. If he comes to Arsenal, he's probably going to play. That's why we're seeing the fact that Xhaka looks like he can be going. He's going to play every minute of every game at Arsenal as well. Listen, it's hard to turn City down. I mean, let's hope they just won the treble and it's Pep Guardiola. You know, it's always going to be serious. But I just feel at the moment that Arsenal are ahead in this, and I still think he's going to sign for Arsenal.
I think so too.
But
like,
you can never say 100%.
Respect City, yeah. No, I'm not saying you or not, but other people. I mean, if they come in, say, yeah, we'll give you 300 grand a week. Yeah, we'll match whatever Arsenal offer, and yeah, you'll play 8, you'll play 6, you might play centre back for us because we're losing Laporte as well. You'll play a lot of positions. He might. And I think Declan Rice struck me as like a really good, honourable person. I think when he says he wants to stay in London to be near his family, I think he means that. I don't think it's just talk to justify the Arsenal move. I think he genuinely, that is all part of his thought process. But, when you're thinking, my family in London, Manchester, don't worry, we'll give you an extra 100 grand a week to pay for it.
Yeah, and you just come out with the thing.
So I'm worried about it.
You just come out, of course you've got to be worried about it, and you just come out with a thing, you can just come out and say, well, how can you turn down Man City? And everybody will be like, well, we understand, Yeah, so
very, very true. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think we'll leave it there. Not much news, although there is a little...
Thank you very much.
They're updating the standard that's just come through that... they're just talking about maybe the Havertz price being nearer 50 million rather than the...
Well, that's for me as well. If the only thing, going back to that Caicedo thing that annoys me a little bit, is the outlay on Havertz, it cannot be 70 million. It has to, if it's down, I'm saying it needs to be down around 50, 55, 60 tops. Anything more than that, I don't
60
think.
Even, that feels too much.
Yeah, it just feels too
50,
much.
With 50, I'm
it's
like,
not done enough recently to justify anything more than that.
Yeah, with 50, I'm like, you're betting on his potential and what he did at Leverkusen and it coming through.
Yeah.
60, I mean, I don't know.
50
Anyways, all right, we'll leave it there. Big thanks to everyone who's joined us for this load of breaking news, some really positive things in terms of the Saliba front. We know that Lavia is now a target. Let's see what happens with Moussa Diaby, though we have our doubts. The Havertz deal continues to move slowly along, and lots of rumours emerged last night from some pretty good sources, to be fair, that a second bid had gone in for Declan Rice. That's going to be around the £101 million mark. Let's see if that comes through today and if we find anything out. Because it's not just, and it's important to know, it's not just the total figure West Ham want, it's a certain guarantee about how the structure of the payment's going to work, certain amount they want for next year, but a large amount is being talked about for this year, and also what those add-ons include. Because if you're saying, we'll pay you 50 million if Arsenal win the treble, they're going to think we'd rather not. So I think add-ons matter. All right, big thanks to everyone. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe, and we are keeping you up to date with everything on AFTV as and when it happens. So go check out all the other content. If you missed anything else in the transfer window, go check out Transfer Daily where Robbie sums it all up. And if you want more in-depth discussion about these targets, talking transfers with Dan and Curtis, it was really good. They had a lot of fun. Go check that out as well. Many thanks. See you soon.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.